right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 20 of College Sports, the Geeks. And
Geeks.
it's Final Four time. Four teams left in the men's and the women's tournament. Women's tournament had big games lately with Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, and Juju Watkins for USC. But let's stay with the men's side. What were your thoughts, kind of, I guess, as we get to the Final Four? Anything that stands out to you from the last episode that we all spoke?
Yeah, so we're gonna start with NC State because that's the story of college basketball right now. Uh, NC State needed to win 5 games in 5 days just to make the NCAA tournament. NC State played Louisville in the first round of the NCAA tournament. There's probably 60 people in the stands. Louisville is the worst Power Five team. I believe Louisville actually lost to DePaul this season. That's hard to do. So Louisville sucks. That's the point is Louisville sucks. 4 minutes left in the game. Louisville and NC State were tied. They were tied in this basketball game. NC State beats Louisville. The next day pummels Syracuse, then beats Duke, then needs Michael O'Connell miracle three after Virginia missed some free throws at the buzzer, goes to overtime, wins, beats Carolina just to get to the tournament. They almost lost to Louisville. Kevin Keatts might have gotten fired. Winning the ACC, we've talked about, triggered a 2-year extension, $7 million for Kevin Keatts. Then, after you win 5 games in 5 days like that, nobody's surprised that they beat Texas Tech or Oakland. But to go back to the Sweet 16 and not just beat Marquette or Duke, thoroughly dominate both Marquette and Duke. Like, this is like you see Cinderellas in the past couple years that make it to the Final Four, Florida Atlantic, Loyola Chicago, that you have no real belief in that can win a national championship. NC State team is playing as good as anybody in the country right now. They could absolutely give Purdue a ride this weekend, and Raleigh, North Carolina is the place to be right now. Both men and women in the Final Fours. That's nuts considering the women were picked to finish eighth in the ACC to start this season. They lost the ACC championship game. They had a real rough stretch down the end of their regular season, like very similar like the Philadelphia Eagles regular season, where like they were the best team in the country, and then all of a sudden they just completely fell off. So
Before you
wild time in Raleigh. That's all I got. Wild time in Raleigh.
Before you go,
Yeah, I mean,
one fun fact about both the women's and the men's tournament. This is the first time ever that two teams from the men's side and the women's side, being UConn and NC State, both in the Final Four on the men's side and the women's side. I thought that was a fun fact to bring up, that this is the first time that's ever happened.
And also,
yeah, and
real quick, Ramos, if you look at conferences too, Big East has one team in both men and women. ACC has one team in both men and women. SEC has one team in both men and women. And the Big Ten has one team with both men and women. Who does that leave out of the power conferences we're thinking of right now that the Pac-12 is gone? That would be the Big 12. That is a tough pill to swallow if you're the Big 12. That you were probably, not probably, you were definitely the best college basketball conference this season. And guess what? No teams going to the Final Four. Tough pill to swallow.
yeah, I mean another interesting fact too, UConn or NC State could be the first team since the 2017 UConn Huskies to win both the men and women's final. Out of those two teams, I think UConn has the better chance, arguably. I mean, they look unstoppable, but and then Paige Beckers, could never bet on Paige Beckers and Gino. But looking at NC State, I agree with everything Musa was saying. I mean, they had actually not one of, they had the hardest path to get to where they are, and they showed that it was deserved. I mean, they busted my bracket day one. I had Texas Tech going to the Final Four. That's how good I thought Texas Tech was. Annihilated them. They beat Oakland and everyone's favorite player in the tournament, Jack Golke. Kind of looks like Matthew Perry in my opinion, but they beat them. Cruised
Interesting.
through Marquette like they said, and then Duke. DJ Burns became America's hero, beating Duke. Kyle Filipowski, Jared McCain 2 days into college. I'm so happy Duke lost. And NC State, division rival of mine, but I don't even care. They're just they're such a fun team to watch. And I'm not a Purdue guy either. So I really hope DJ Burns, DJ Horn, Middlebrooks, all these guys that are cruising, playing so hot at the right time right now. I hope they knock off Purdue. I am not the biggest Zach Edey fan in the world. Uh, NC State is, I think, America's team who they want to win. They're
Another,
the
another
underdog.
another fun fact about this NC State team, DJ Burns has been getting NFL interest as an offensive tackle, but he wants to try to go to the NBA. We'll see what happens with DJ Burns. But just what are your thoughts overall on DJ Burns possibly being an NFL prospect?
Yeah, I really got nothing to add here. I don't know if that'll work. It could work. I mean, hey, why not? Bring him to camp or whatever. I assume he doesn't have. I mean, if you look at DJ Burns' college career, it's an awesome March story, but is highly likely to not be a National Basketball Association player. So yeah, why not? Let's see if he can play football. People forget a whole while back, Antonio Gates was a college basketball superstar, and he led Kent State to the Elite Eight. And yeah, that worked out pretty well for him making the transition to football. So I could definitely see DJ Burns being a little football player. I mean, heck, Tim Tebow got a spot on the 90 guys make these teams training camp rosters. Tim Tebow got a spot as a tight end for the Jags a couple years ago. I don't see why somebody can't take a flyer on DJ Burns.
Yeah, I mean Julius Peppers took UNC all the way to I think the Final Four Elite Eight, and he had an incredible NFL career. Julius Thomas played basketball at Portland State, and he had a good career with the Denver Broncos. So I mean, yeah, I mean DJ Burns, like you look at his size, and he's just freakishly athletic for his size, and I really think that's with his footwork and stuff, and just how he's so dominant. I mean, you even saw the press conference that Nikola Jokic was even impressed with him, and DJ Burns was saying that he said he grew up watching Hakeem Olajuwon, but just got a Zach Randolph or body type. And I mean, honestly, like you said, 90 guys making training camp roster. He has a better chance probably of making the NFL than he does the NBA. And I mean, just from a footwork standpoint, like offensive lineman, he's probably more athletic than Evan Neal from what we've seen so far, and
Oh,
from a
okay.
football.
All right. We don't gotta go into that, but that's freaking insane. It's a crazy take. That's
So
crazy. You saying Armando Bacot's the greatest player in North Carolina basketball history.
It's true, and
He's
you know what? I'm glad you brought that up
You
because
glad I brought that up? Because
I
what did he
was,
accomplish?
I
Another
felt.
one. Remember when he missed that dunk?
Do you remember when when you thought Michigan State was going to beat UNC, and I
AJ,
thought it was going to be close? I was a little too conservative in that. I thought I was a little too nice because we dicked Michigan State. Michigan State did, I don't even think they showed up. I
did
mean,
you watch
Armando
the,
Bacot clapped them too, 18,
you
7,
watch
and
the
3.
game? 18, 7, and 3. Wow. Did you watch the game? Michigan State was up 14.
I watched the game. I didn't watch it with you, but I watched the game.
Yeah, because you were too much of a coward to show up in case North Carolina lost. You didn't want
That's
to.
not why.
Yeah, that is
That's
why.
not why.
You're too much of a coward to show up.
That's not why.
Mondo Bacot, the greatest player in North Carolina history.
Second in the program in points, most rebounds, and he's top 10 in blocks.
So
So
proud of him
yeah,
for missing the NCAA tournament twice, for having a horrendous season this season.
who do you think's the greatest UNC player of all time? There's only one other answer I'd accept.
There's like 50.
There's only one.
Who?
Tyler Hansbrough.
Hansbrough.
Okay.
Hansbrough.
I'm taking Michael Jordan over him.
Michael Jordan wasn't even the best UNC player on his team. It was James Worthy.
All right, James Worthy, another guy can take over him. Those are national champions right there.
Okay. Armando Bacot should have been a national champion if it wasn't for Jacob Aframian.
Keyword
What
shouldn't.
did you think of
Should.
Aframian?
She should is the key word in that statement. Now, at the end of the day, you guys want to bicker, talk about the game, whatnot, whatever. But let's go back to topic about the teams that are actually in the Final Four, which is none of our teams.
True.
So now Purdue. They played Grambling, Utah State, Gonzaga, who is not the Gonzaga of old whatsoever, and Tennessee with Rick Barnes, who is just not successful in March until I guess this season, where they got the Elite Eight, and now they're gonna play State. Zach Edey, we'll see how many calls he gets in the Final Four matchup. It should be interesting to see with DJ Burns, because DJ Burns has had some foul issues. But just talk about Purdue's journey and what your thoughts are on this team.
Yeah. So I am podcast Purdue hater. The calls Zach Edey got against Michigan State this season were absolutely disgusting.
If-
But I'm looking at his objective viewer, some of the narratives around Zach Edey to me are kind of getting a little old. Even though I'm not the biggest Zach Edey fan, I'll defend him here for a second. The whole he's in the paint for 3 seconds thing, I've seen that on some plays. He doesn't just constantly stand in the paint, like he gets out sometimes. So it's not always 3 second thing. I will say Zach Edey draws a lot of fouls. What concerns me refereeing wise is actually not the fouls he draws. It's that I feel like he hacks all the time and doesn't get called on the other side. So like I can see like Zach Edey gets hit all the time, and part of that's just because he's so big. But on the other side, I feel like well, first of all, he cannot play defense. But when he does, I feel like he hacks all the time. Him versus DJ Burns cannot be a polar opposite matchup. You have a guy whose entire game relies on his size. I mean, we saw after the Elite Eight game in Detroit where he was literally cutting down the nets without a ladder versus DJ Burns, who's all about physicality. So it's one of the coolest NCAA tournament Final Four matchups I can ever remember because it's just two complete superstars right now and who can play in completely different styles. So Purdue, they've had an awesome season. The parallels to 2019 Virginia we've discussed all the time. Purdue, I actually think expectations change. I think Purdue making the Final Four is a huge check of the box. Nobody can make fun of them. But now that they're playing at North Carolina State, I actually think expectations change a little bit. I think they need to win this game and at least get to Monday night to set up Purdue, potentially playing UConn, which would be one of the most, at least since Baylor Gonzaga 2 years ago, the most anticipated college championship game because that's the two best teams in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this game for Purdue is probably the biggest game of Zach Edey's career.
Oh, no doubt.
And I think because he has this game can, depending on how it goes, really silence the haters. I mean, Purdue, we've known them as a team that always should be in the national championship conversation. And then for some reason, they always choke, and it's usually to double-digit seeds. The way this tournament worked out, NC State is a double-digit seed, so that can happen again.
To
And
be
like you,
yes.
and like you said, Muso, it's really DJ Burns, Zach Edey is they're two different type of players. And for all the people hating and criticizing Zach Edey because of the fouls, because of the fouls he doesn't get called for, and all that, is he actually a good college basketball player, or is it just because he's 7 feet tall? DJ Burns, if Zach Edey, listen, I don't expect Zach Edey to go for 40 against DJ Burns, but if Zach Edey can get the win and have a solid performance, then I think, in my opinion, and this is coming from a guy that's not the biggest Edey fan in the world, this really silences the haters and proves he is good at basketball because DJ Burns is a very physical player. And even though, like Derek said, he has teetered around foul trouble, he usually gets like 3 or 4 a game. Um, if he can contain Zach Edey or Zach Edey can contain him, vice versa, I think this game's huge for Purdue, setting a UConn most likely game. But I'm not sleeping on Alabama either. I think Alabama's had the most difficult path
You
to get
slept
where
on
they
them
are.
once already.
I did.
You slept on them once. Back to North Carolina State. This is no knock on DJ Burns because his run and his story has been awesome, but he's not even the best player in his own team. I feel like we are going to watch DJ Burns versus Zach Edey because that's a fun matchup. But North Carolina State's supporting cast, what makes them one of the most fun March stories I can remember, 7 guys deep on their team are guys who have made plays that if they didn't make those certain plays, they wouldn't be here. I mean, DJ Horn, Casey Morsell, 2 vets on the outside. I talked about Michael O'Connell making those shots. Danny Cannell's nephew, Ben Middlebrooks. I mean, this team is super deep, and so is Purdue. Purdue's role players. Purdue went from shooting in the 200s in 3-point percentage last year in the country to #1. And you look at NC State, all 5 of their starters have been plucked from the transfer portal. So they're all super veteran-laden teams. Now, conversely, Purdue's 14% of their roster is from the transfer portal. So these teams are completely different in makeup as well. Purdue develops guys young, and that's why you see a lot of guys like Zach Edey. You look at the beginning, like they're slow grinds to get to where they are, the kinds of players they are today. Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, there's just tons of good basketball players on here. So I feel like we shouldn't focus too much on Zach Edey versus DJ Burns because in any Purdue game, Zach Edey's going to dominate. It's what happens with the rest of the guys out there. If the rest of the guys are making shots and they're playing good basketball, they're going to win. They're going to beat UConn too. But that's the key. Not Zach Edey, the rest.
To me, there's three things that I want to mention. Number one, you mentioned it, Ramos. Could, Purdue back to back to back years lose to a double-digit seed? That's an interesting storyline. Number two, Zach Edey and these doubters. I mean, always serious. He's been doubted. It's not like he's been doubted. It's the team Purdue has been doubted. You talked
He's been
earlier.
He's
You talked
been
about
doubted.
he's not been doubted.
He-
I mean,
Yes,
this
he
guy's a
has.
good college basketball player. We all know that. To say that
He's one
this
of the
guy's,
greatest college basketball players of all time. Like
you think
I
he's
hate-
the greatest college basketball
No,
player?
no, 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 no. That is not what I said. I said he's one of the greatest college basketball players of all time.
Uh, I
Mhm.
He scored 40 points in the Elite Eight to move him
Okay.
on. His
okay.
number,
That's
he's gonna
one
be a-
game.
he's going to be a two-time National Player of the Year. How many people are two-time National
Uh,
Player of the Year? It just did not. Yeah, he's going to be the national.
mm,
RJ
And
Davis
then-
is not winning
And
National
then
Player.
here's the third thing. If you're NC State, do you match up DJ Burns with Zach Edey, or do you put Diarra on him? Because that's another thing that you look at. I'm not sure I like the matchup of Edey Burns from a defensive standpoint. I'd rather have Diarra, but from an offensive standpoint, yeah, I would want Burns.
They're gonna-
against Edey.
Kevin Keatts is going to throw everybody at Zach Edey this weekend. I don't think it matters. I don't think it's going to be a one-on-one type thing. You're right, Diarra, and he's also made humongous plays down the stretch.
He's
Yeah.
also gets into foul trouble too. He had 4 fouls in that last game.
I'll never forget his performance against Duke in the ACC tournament when, he's celebrating Ramadan, couldn't eat or drink all day, and he's comes out in 15 points, 16 boards on the biggest stage of his career. Yeah.
and a couple key steals too.
He did. So he could match up against Zach Edey. I think they'll just let DJ Burns rock. They'll let Middlebrooks rock against Zach Edey probably, but you can't stop Zach Edey. You just have to limit him. And if you
And you
can
can't
get,
even send double teams anymore because, like you said, the way Purdue's been shooting this
Right.
tournament.
and if you get him into foul trouble. Now, I want to pivot real quick. We got to talk a little bit about UConn. Because what UConn has done in the NCAA tournament is super boring. They've just destroyed everyone for the last 2 years. I can't remember a team being this dominant in the NCAA tournament like that. Not even a single close call is unheard of. Every team that wins a title at some point, even if they dominate, has one game that's a close call where you look back on it and you're like, this is the pivotal moment. UConn has blown everybody out. And I mean, we talk about NC State. UConn women's basketball as well is playing as well as anyone in the country because Paige Beckers is healthy. We heard Ramos before, 2014 last time Connecticut won both titles?
2017.
I think it was 2014.
They
Yeah,
did in 17.
No, they didn't.
It's
2014.
2014.
Oh, 2014, I meant. Yeah,
It was
my bad.
2000.
Doesn't matter.
It's the track 2004 to 2014.
Okay.
Now everybody's saying UConn
Yeah,
is going to win it for
2014.
both
Yeah, yeah.
years for 2024
Uh,
because they like the 4 at the end.
I didn't know about all that. That's the New Englander in you. But
No, it's
any-
2004. UConn won it all in both leagues. 2014. Now 10 years later, we're in 2024.
Now, Alabama is a good matchup for UConn because Alabama is the number 1 offense in the country, but Illinois was the number 2 offense in the country, and that didn't seem to matter at all. Donovan Clingan right now on ESPN's big board is the number 3 ranked prospect for this upcoming NBA draft. The NBA draft is like, it's the craziest draft because, I mean, Donovan Clingan's production obviously doesn't match eye test wise to number 3, but
Yeah,
UConn,
this draft class sucks.
UConn is so deep. It's crazy that this is the second year in a row they don't have a star player. And that's just not how March usually works. Usually you need a star to drag you here. They're a well-oiled machine. Danny Hurley is a maniac. The offensive sets UConn runs, Cam Spencer's open every possession. Somebody is open every possession. And they hit threes. They're Alabama UConn will be a fun matchup. I expect UConn to win by double digits just because that's what they've shown. I think Purdue is the most similar team to UConn in the country. Dominant big man, tons of great role players. So I think that's the matchup that could trip UConn up the most. But right now, I don't think Alabama can match them. On the women's side too, UConn's had 5 season-ending injuries this year in women's basketball, and they're in the Final Four. That's unreal. That's ridiculous. My guess, they're gonna run out of steam as well when they play Iowa because Caitlin Clark wanted to go to UConn and they didn't take her. She's gonna drop 40 on them. NC State women's team, sneaky. Watch out. Playing South Carolina. I know South Carolina hasn't lost this season. The NC State team is hot, and they have a big three who can all get buckets.
The one thing about UConn, you mentioned balanced. They don't have their star. What surprises me more than those two things, they don't have a point guard. They really don't have that point guard.
Castle, they don't have Jordan Hawkins from last year.
Well, no,
Castle,
but Hawkins wasn't a point guard. He was just kind of that shooter. They've never really had that point guard when they've been successful these last 2 years, which is surprising because when Hurley was at URI, they
always
had a point
comes
guard.
back to URI. Always comes back to Rhode Island. I mean, they have a 5-star who they give the ball to. He's a freshman though. You don't see freshmen dominate March anymore. Yeah, no. We're set up for a fantastic weekend of basketball. And for those who don't like the NBA, I mean, I know we all like the NBA, not like we like college basketball. Okay, Derek doesn't like the NBA. Me and Ramos like the NBA. But this is the last weekend of college sports for you, Derek, until August.
Yeah, it's a sad time. It really is a sad time. Because I live and breed college, man. I mean, it's just where you want to be at the end of the day. Should be interesting. UConn, Alabama, NC State, Purdue in the Final
Hey,
Four.
Ramos. Well, by the way, college basketball never ends, neither does college football at the transfer portal. There's always free agency. What Eddie Lampkin's going to Syracuse, just weird stuff happens all the time. I was looking at the preseason tournaments next year.
Oh boy.
Early season tournaments. The Maui Invitational is stacked Thanksgiving
It
week.
always is.
We'll both be there. Me and Ramos' squads will both be in Maui next year. I believe I saw Iowa State will be there. Memphis will be there. Some Kansas might be there. Yeah, we're loaded. Let me Derek, you give me
Maris
last.
going?
I don't think Marist is making them out.
Maris to Maui. That's funny. No,
Well,
but
Derek, we got to get a wing first.
Oh, here we go. Auburn, Colorado, Dayton, Iowa State, Memphis, UConn, Michigan State, and North Carolina.
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
be a week.
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
gonna be a week.
Oh, Jesus. That your national championship winner could be in that tournament.
Your national championship winner can be in that tournament. A preseason top 10 team potentially in North Carolina, Iowa State, and Auburn, Colorado, Dayton. Memphis is the only team who didn't make the tournament this season, and Memphis is not a scrub team. Memphis popped off last year in their preseason tournament in Atlanta. So yeah.
Speaking of Carolina and Portal, they have the chance to do the funniest thing ever. They contacted Filipowski's brother.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want him. You don't need that soft. He's probably if he's soft like his brother, you don't need him.
Oh, I know. They do
And
need a
what-
true big though, because Jalen Washington isn't the solution.
And what a way to
Jalen
end
Withers.
episode 20, College Sports, the Geeks. Make sure to tune in next time for the next episode where we recap what happens in the Final Four and more.